Go. Welcome back to Hoops HD, everybody. Happy New Year's Eve. Last show of 2025.
Yeah. I remember our first show of 20. No, I don't. I was blacked out.
Okay. Uh,
But I do
I'm your
remember
host,
our
Chad.
most recent show before this one. That was. No, I don't remember that one either. Holiday
Uh,
shows take it out of me.
we're recording this at 9:30 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and Griggs is already drunk. That says something. Uh, I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. That's David Griggs. This is our Under the Radar podcast, where we are going over the 22 normal single bid leagues. I guess we call them that, or
Yeah.
normally not multi bid leagues.
Yeah, there
Uh,
you go.
we are not going to be hitting the Power Four conferences or the Big East. We're not hitting the American, the A10, the Mountain West, or the West Coast Conference. We do all those on Monday nights on our Hoops HD report. But the rest of college basketball is fair game for this show.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we just the two of us today. I thought we'd have a bigger crowd, but that's okay. We can go through these things here, I think.
Rocco's still sleeping and Stalika is still sleeping. So,
And Zach is probably asleep.
yeah, Zach's probably asleep.
Uh, Dorman's probably asleep.
Oh, yeah, probably asleep.
Uh,
I'm still up from the night before.
let's get right into these games here. We like to start with the feature conference, then go through the rest of them in alphabetical order. And a quick audible here at the last minute. I decided why don't we take a look at the Horizon League this week,
Oh,
which got out to a real interesting start. In literally in the I guess first games this week. There had been a couple games earlier this season, but one of the more surprising results that we just saw a couple nights ago was this Wright State win over Oakland. Granted, it was at Wright State, but
it was, yeah, it was at Wright State, but it was interesting. Wright State had not, I don't want to get too carried away. I mean, they weren't awful, but they had not done anything to indicate that they would be a conference front runner or at no point were we really excited about them. And this game, it felt like that they had them at arm's length the entire way. They didn't blow them out, but it was double digits for most of this game. At no point was Oakland really in it at all.
yeah, and before going into this game, Oakland had been 2-0 in early conference play. And I just thought that despite their overall record, they had the most talent. They were the best team.
Yeah,
The metrics loved them coming in, not quite as much anymore, uh, but this was a shocking, almost shocking. I guess I agree with you. Not the fact that Wright State won it, but the fact that Wright State dominated the game.
yeah, and it sort of made you sit up. Like had Wright State won it in a close game, you'd have figured that it was just their day, and Oakland sort of let it slip away. But watching this, it was there's no better way to put it. Michigan, they handled Oakland a lot easier than Michigan State did.
I think you're right. And it wasn't even the only shocking result from Monday night because Detroit Mercy went to Youngstown State, and we thought the Penguins could be a contender this year.
Yeah,
Now Detroit's off to a 3-1 start. We did not think they'd be a contender this year, but here we are.
no.
Youngstown 2-2, Detroit 3-1 in the early conference play.
Yeah, so Detroit Mercy, one of the more improved teams in all of college basketball from last year to this year. Now they're still terrible, but I mean that just goes to that's more of a testament to how bad they were a year ago. But this team and this program is getting better, and they're off to a 3-1 starting conference. And Doug Gottlieb's throwing chairs when they're not winning. Is it possible that this is starting to?
Doug Gottlieb is not the coach at Detroit,
Oh, he's not the coach. Oh, yeah, he's the coach at Green Bay. My bad.
but that's okay. He could throw chairs there as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, I want to throw a third one out there, though. NKU with the win at Robert Morris. Robert Morris was a team I was just starting to keep a little bit of an eye on. I thought that they might actually make a little noise. I thought they'd be maybe the most improved program in this conference this year. And here they go, they lose at home to NKU, and now I'm and Milwaukee's the only team undefeated. Griggs, I think this conference could be wide open for a regular season championship here.
Yeah, it kind of does. And NKU, who Doug Gottlieb does also not coach, just to clarify that, 10-5 overall, 7-5 on the year. They've really, really struggled in recent years. Now, their schedule hasn't been the best. In fact, it's been among the worst in all of D1. But that's a big win. Like for them to go to Robert Morris on the road and get that one.
Yeah, It it was, and then you throw in there that Cleveland State finally got a win. This program's been so far down so far this year, but
Yeah, against
uh,
IU Indy. IU Indy, the most entertaining bad team that you can possibly watch. Really, their offense is terrible and they go really fast.
that's a good way to put it. I'm going to quickly pull this down here and go to a different screen share for half a second. Uh, let's see if I get this to work here because this is what everyone's playing for. If that Horizon League bracket hopefully showed up on the
Yes.
screen right now, and you can find it up there in the conference tournament tab. And that's one of the more interesting things about the league this year is you've got a very strange bracket format where everybody's got to play that opening round on Wednesday, March 4th, or two teams have to play on Monday, March 2nd.
Yeah.
But then the top three seeds that win out of those five teams that win on Wednesday get to skip the next round.
Yeah, so what are we calling this? I don't know. I guess we've got an opening. I mean, we've got just working backwards here. We've got the championships, we've got the semifinals, we've got the quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal, single quarterfinal.
Yeah, and then what do we call that? A quintuple final? The round before that,
I
the,
don't know.
the round between the opening round and the quarterfinal. I don't know what we call that. I don't know who thought this up, and I don't know conference tournaments anymore. It seems like ADs and commissioners get together and try and come up with the goofiest format ever. Maybe soccer's just becoming too popular. Some of the formats are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so what's going to happen is you're going to have six games total, a 10 versus 11 game, and then the five games on Wednesday. And then you basically take those five teams and you reseed them into a new five-team bracket. Uh,
Yeah,
I think that's kind of the way you would say it here. So, but obviously, if you get one of the top three seeds in this conference of the regular season, not only do you get a guaranteed home game in that first round on Wednesday, that quintuple header round or quintuple final, you also will then be guaranteed that you'd be able to skip that Sunday game and go right to Monday as long as you're one of the top three. Uh,
yeah.
Now, if you could be fourth or fifth and still skip it if there's an upset among the top three, but that's where you will
Right.
be as the top three in this conference.
Well, it's just it's really saying something that we're looking at some of these conference tournament formats, and you're thinking, man, that makes the AC8 look not so crazy.
Uh, let me get the other screen back up here. Maybe there we go. Let's take a quick look at what's coming up this week in the Horizon League as we're into the heart of conference play here, and we really want to see how Oakland bounces back from that loss. They go to Youngstown and they host Robert Morris. Neither one is an easy game.
They're not. And normally I would be like, well, these are the kinds of games that they're tough, but Oakland's certainly conditioned to win them. Um, it might be kind of hard going to Youngstown and winning, although Youngstown coming off of a loss themselves. So here it is, New Year's Day, still early in the conference slate. There's a big sense of urgency to that Oakland Youngstown game.
And let's not forget about Milwaukee. They are the only undefeated team in the conference. They've got a trip to that Wright State team that just beat Oakland coming up for New Year's Day. So that's another fascinating game here on the slate for tomorrow.
Right. And Milwaukee also playing some tough out of conference games, so they've conditioned themselves and gotten themselves paid.
Yeah, they just coming off a loss to Wisconsin. Did not expect them to compete in that game.
Right.
Uh,
And they didn't.
Monday, the rivalry game at Green Bay. Who's the coach of Green Bay, Griggs?
That would be Doug Gottlieb.
I finally got it right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Uh, Anyhow, that's
Being
the
on
Horizon League.
5K benders make you forget things.
Let's go back and I guess I do love to give a shout out to somebody who's number one in the nation in something, and IU Indy, number one in the nation in tempo. You love seeing a one somewhere on the sheets here.
Yeah.
Not that it's helped them much on the court, but
It hasn't. Two D1 wins. And that's it.
they made a little noise that first week of the season, but
They
since then
did.
they have kind of fallen apart. Uh,
Mhm.
Over in the America East, we finished up non-conference play with not much of note other than Vermont suffering another non-conference loss, this time at Princeton in overtime uh,
Yeah, in a game that was
yesterday.
really disappointing that they really should have won. I mean, John Stalica was so upset about this game that he refused to come on the show today. But Vermont going to Princeton against a pretty weak Princeton team and not getting it done. There's just not much to really brag about. I think this conference is heading for the 16 line. Oh, hey,
Let
John.
me make one correction. I just refused to submit a top 10 ballot for this week.
That's all right. We made up votes for you,
Yeah.
Stalika. Hope you invite like voting for IU Indy, who was our feature conference you missed. But America East, we're just getting going here with America East, Stalika. Take a look at we're finally getting to conference play here. Uh, Coming up on Saturday. One more non-conference game today. NJIT is at Penn, but I mean, after what we saw, a lot of nothing non-conference. Is this despite their record, Vermont's conference still?
Probably going to be Vermont here. This is the only team that's basically north of 200 in terms of the net, but at the same time, they've also been somewhat inconsistent.
Yeah, but look at I mean, it's their conference because look at everybody, despite their record. Well, look at everybody else's record. My God.
They, they, they are the only top 200 net, albeit barely top 200. But other than
Yeah,
UMBC, everyone else is sub 300 in this league.
yeah. This is normally a fun league. It might be once we get in the conference play, but even by America East standards, this has been just an atrocious year.
I
Yeah.
will say, though, if Maine somehow loses our opener, could they be an early centenary runner?
There's a few other teams that don't even have that one D1 win yet, Stalika. So but we'll see. Uh,
I don't know. Losing to a sub 320 at home would be a big plus.
It's
it would.
normally a good centenary caliber loss.
Over in the A-Sun Conference, we also finished up non-conference play this past week with nothing really of note happening. But as we head into, let me go right ahead and pull up the upcoming schedule here. Sleek, as we head into conference play beginning tomorrow, New Year's Day, uh, I'm not that certain. I think it's Lipscomb and Austin P who have these are the best numbers, but I think this conference might be wide open as well.
I was going to say Lipscomb is not going to be in a very good mood after getting drilled by Cincinnati on the road. I know you guys were trying to tempt me into making that an upset pick, but I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Um, and then again, is this a chance for some talented teams or teams that we liked coming into the preseason, like in Eastern Kentucky, who's done nothing, to sort of kick it into gear and come to life? So, Queens, Eastern Kentucky, that's who we like coming in. We don't, that's not who we like now. Lipscomb, despite not playing well at all at Cincinnati, I think has still looked good more often than anyone else in the league. But I'm kind of with Chad. It like once we get into the flow of conference play, we might see someone emerge that we haven't talked much about at all.
I'll tell you, the key team I'm looking at, I am looking at Queens. I think that this team has some talent. I think that this team, they played a fairly tough schedule. Let's pull up that schedule they played.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, look at the top of that schedule. They played five bye games against quad one, against tier one teams
yeah, and then
at Duquesne, at Furman, Winthrop. That
yeah,
they haven't really played anybody that's ace on caliber except maybe the Winthrop game. I'm sorry, maybe the Furman game, but
yeah,
Furman was a road game and it was that one wasn't close. Some of the others were close.
yeah. They were in there with Duquesne. The bye games they got blown into the sun, but those are road bye games. So
Right. So well, let's keep. They're a team that I'm at least keeping an eye on as we head into conference play. But Griggs, uh, Big Sky Conference,
yes.
and we actually had a story in this league in the end of non-conference play. Northern Colorado goes on the road in a front range game as well, and wins at Colorado on Sunday.
And I've been impressed with Northern Colorado all year. Their net isn't up there. I don't know why the metrics don't like them more. Now,
The
the
the the the, the Denver loss
the Denver
really hurt.
loss really kind of torpedoed them. St. Thomas, not a bad team. It's a game that they should have won, considering how good that they are, but they were competitive with Texas Tech. They really were in that game. I mean, they weren't in a position to win it, but you watched it and it's like, man, this team's really good. And I don't know what happened against Denver other than just, some of those front range rivalry games get so intense that they get. I don't know what happened against Denver. Like, that can't be excused or overlooked. But isn't this team better than the 108th team? I mean, isn't this like a top 75 team in your mind? How can it not be?
Well, I want to see what they do in conference play, and they start out with that Montana road trip, which is not an
Mm.
easy thing to do. Well, Montana maybe Montana's been down. Montana State, I think,
Yeah,
it's going to be a tough game.
Montana State's another team to keep an eye on, despite their poor record so far. They've played a lot of road games. Idaho, I don't think they're going to sustain where they are. They had some nice moments. They beat Washington State in the season opener. Um, I just think Northern Colorado's look really good, and I'm sure if Rocco were here, he'd be doing deep dives on Northern Arizona's rotation and why we need to watch them or whoever. But based on what I've seen, I just like this Northern Colorado team, and I think the Denver loss was a fluke.
You mentioned Idaho. How far apart are they from Eastern Washington? That's a pretty good rivalry, isn't it?
I don't know. Where is Eastern Washington? Well, it's in the
It's in
Eastern.
Eastern Washington.
Yeah. But they're only 8 miles from Washington State, and they've never met in the NCAA tournament. These two.
So they have not. I can pretty much guarantee that.
Yeah.
Uh, Salik, over in the Big South Conference, High Point picked up a non-D1 win, but probably the most notable game actually was Charleston Southern going to Richmond with an upset win on Sunday.
Lord.
That's a win that's definitely going to leave a mark on the A10 right there. But for the Buccaneers, that's going to be a nice win to vault them into the top 200 of the net and actually puts them at 500 now in D1 play along with High Point.
Yep, and we lost the screen share for a second. While I get that back, Riggs, any other thoughts on the conference here?
I was just shocked at really Charleston Southern's win. High Point, good but kind of disappointing. Winthrop, real. I was kind of excited to see what they would do against Texas Tech. The answer to that was not much. I think they were down by 20 before the game even tipped off. I still think Winthrop has a lot of talent and can keep pace with High Point, but Charleston Southern, all of a sudden 6-6 overall against D1 opponents. That was just the win at Richmond went from you can't beat anybody in the top 300 to man, maybe this team can play with some of the teams in this league.
You throw in there though losses to
Yeah,
Lindenwood, Alabama A&M, UT Martin. Probably a fluke win, but we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see as we get into conference play here.
And I
Uh,
have seen Lindenwood in some mock brackets out of the OVC, but that's more of an indictment that we'll get into later on that conference.
Yeah.
yeah, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. And today, New Year's Eve, what you should be doing for your New Year's Eve party is watching the greatest rivalry in the history of the Big South,
Yes.
maybe in the history of sports. Uh, it is, of course, Winwood Cup time.
Yeah. I mean,
Winthrop and
Throw the
Longwood.
records out when they play.
well, you should see the celebrations that are planned for the Winwood Cup this year across the country. People are gathering in cities. Like there's big parties planned.
Winwood Cup coming up here for New Year's Eve. I expect them. I think there's a crowd at Times Square that's going to watch that game. Is there not?
Oh yeah, there is.
Uh,
Gathered there. I mean, like Times Square. I think Vegas has a big thing going on. Lots of big cities are planning these massive celebrations tonight for the Winwood Cup.
Even the
uh,
Cintas Center is going to be there for the game
Yeah.
today.
oh, geez. High Point team obviously we'll keep an eye on at Asheville, hosting Longwood, hosting Gardner Webb to start conference play here. Uh, Griggs on the Big West Conference. Again, not much. We actually saw Cal State Northridge give Stanford a bit of a battle on Saturday, but other than that, not
Yeah,
much happened over the past week.
Yeah, Cal State Northridge. I figured that they might step up on Stanford. I didn't expect for them to have a lead for 30 minutes and really be in a position to win the game. So the reason we all saw that was because it was the first meaningful game of any kind at the D1 level for about 4 or 5 days. So I think we all like ate that one up. Um, Hawaii has racked up. I mean, they're great at home against weak teams. That's all we really know about them so far. I
Well,
think.
well, this is the week we find out about Hawaii. They've got the Riverside San Diego road trip this week.
Yeah, and I mean that is a tough road trip, and we'll see if they can win. Well, even Riverside is nothing special, but if Hawaii, that would be their toughest win by far if they win on Thursday.
Absolutely. That's the game I'm circling here for this week is that Hawaii at San Diego game. Before that, UC San Diego is going to be at Cal Poly. I expect them to win that game, even though it is a road
Yeah.
game.
hmm But yeah, Hawaii has not played in any games that are as tough as the two they're playing this week, or not won any. I need to clarify that.
Also throw in there both UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine start out with a pair of road games this week as well. So this could be some interesting games. And we could have the standings a little bit crazy come next week in the Big West.
Yeah, I mean they might be a little upside down. So it'll be. This isn't. I mean, a lot of the better teams in the league are being tested, and it's not easy to win on the road in this conference.
Stalika, over in the CAA, uh, where we saw six teams pick up wins to start off conference play here on Monday night, including UNC Wilmington, the only team to win on the road, winning at A&T.
Well, Wilmington also had a damaging loss a couple weeks ago, so this does help to get
To
a little
Howard,
bit of
yeah.
that, yeah, taste out of their mouth. You also look at a team like William and Mary, who's had a surprisingly good non-conference, and getting a win over Towson is going to help validate their profile a little bit.
Yeah, the home wins by Bill and Mary, the home win by Hofstra. I think we have a strong, at least three-team, probably even four-team race with Elon as well here.
Yeah,
And I
Elon.
still, I still don't want to throw out College of Charleston because they're getting healthier, and I think heading into the season they had the talent here.
They did. Elon, I mean, they had a lead for most of the game against Virginia Tech, lost it in overtime. So a really strong showing there. Hofstra, we know about their big wins. Bill and Mary, they were a team that we've just thought has been fun to watch all year long. UNC Wilmington is one of the teams that there's major red flags with them. So you pointed out, like, oh, they've got that great record and they got the road win. You know what isn't great? Their schedule.
There's a couple good just games coming up here.
Yeah.
Uh, both involving Charleston, actually. Charleston at Elon, and then hosting Bill and Mary coming up on Monday night here as we get into conference play. Those are two of the games I'm really circling for this first week here.
I know they lost their opener. I'm not ready to write off Towson yet. I think they could still have a really big year.
Well,
They
with the
have
games against Hampton and Monmouth, I could see him getting up to 2-1 right here.
Yeah.
Although they better not overlook the Pirates today.
Yeah.
And William and Mary better not overlook Stony Brook today. Stony Brook has shown some signs of life during this season.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun conference. You need to get your Flow Hoop subscription.
Uh, where are we? Griggs, Conference USA, where we are. Everybody's now gone through a first game. They kind of went piecemeal over the last few weeks here, getting those first games in. But we're sitting
Yeah.
here with Liberty. Got a hell of a battle from FIU on the road, but somehow in that wet, water-covered court, found a way to pull out an overtime win.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes to show you that it's a very competitive league and that Liberty's not as heads and tails ahead of it like we or like I thought they were coming into the year. They're going to get a lot of battles. Another team that had a really impressive day, if we can talk about them for a second here, is Middle Tennessee.
I was absolutely where I was going next. How impressive was that to be there with Houston pretty much the entire game? They were in that
Yeah.
game. They didn't
Yeah,
win,
they,
but they
they
were in it.
really were. And you start to look at them and you're like, well, losses to Michigan and McNeese. I mean, those are just tough games. GW, also a good team. I mean, those are rough. They've played a rough schedule. They have a nice win against Murray State. They blew UAB out, a UAB team that we think is not even under the radar and pretty good. And the one thing the Houston game did for me was it kind of made me notice that we've been sort of overlooking Middle Tennessee a little bit. And are they a team to reckon with in Conference USA?
Yeah, well, they played the number 10 non-conference strength of schedule in the nation, and
Yeah,
they at least picked up a 4-5 D1 record, a 7-5 overall record.
yeah,
But they went almost 500 against it. That's not bad.
yeah. And I think now that they're getting in the conference, they've got the two home games coming up. Utah, I mean, you're looking at their next. You start to go down the schedule, and you're like, this team could win all of these.
Well, the Sam Houston game will be a challenge. Sam Houston has shown some life this season also. They actually
Yeah,
got the best net rating in the entire conference, although I'm not certain why.
yeah,
Um, they don't have great wins. I guess they played a lot of
yeah. They
tough
played a lot of
teams.
games away from home and competed. So
Yeah.
the whole adjusted efficiency piece of the metric.
Uh, Salika, regular season play, full gear here in the conference this season. What games are we looking forward to?
I would start off with Liberty after they got the nice win at FIU, in which our colleague Rocco Miller was in attendance. They now get to host Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State coming up.
Yeah. I'm circling that Sunday game here, Sam Houston at Middle Tennessee. I think that that could be one of the better games in the conference this week as well. And Sam Houston at Western Kentucky, actually. You almost forget about Western Kentucky. This was a
Yeah,
team we were voting into our top 10 lists earlier this season.
yeah. Western Kentucky's certainly really talented, although they kind of stumbled in their first conference game.
Likewise, I could see Sam Houston going to 0-3 and making that net look even more mysterious.
Yeah. Sleek, let me stick with you. Actually, the Horizon League was our feature conference. So, but how about over in the Ivy League, where
Ooh.
Yale suffered a nail-biting 30-ish point loss to Alabama?
And that will do absolutely nothing to harm their metrics right there. And I think we had already discussed Princeton as well as I was signing on. So another reminder that they got a clutch win at home in OT against the Catamounts.
Now,
Yeah, one of their
Norton, Nort,
one of their very few wins.
now Columbia did this last year. They got for the great start, and then they fell apart in conference play. They won at North Florida. Now, North Florida does not yet have a D1 win yet on the season, but uh, you know, it's now time to find out if Columbia can keep it going this year and actually make a run through conference play.
Yeah,
As we are actually come Monday, we got everyone else has one more bye game coming up or one more non D1 game coming up, and then we get into conference play.
yeah, and they're going to Cornell, who themselves had a really nice day against Michigan State. So, didn't win, but were competitive in that. That's a tough game. But all eight Ivy League schools in action on Monday night. This this used to be the regular season used to be so compelling because there was no conference tournament. So, Yale at Brown. That one's gonna. I think I still think Yale can run away from the league. But it's gonna be tough opening the season at Brown.
Yeah, it will be, and of course, Penn Princeton is the premier rivalry in this conference. That's coming Monday night as well.
Yeah.
Although not quite as much at stake this year. Although you know, could be for who can get maybe part of the deciding factor in who gets those top four spots and makes the Ivy Madness tournament.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
They've all got budding rivalries with the White House, but that's another discussion for another day.
Right. Yeah. So a couple more things about Yale. Starting to get votes in the coaches poll. JNG, which is the metric that predicts the selection committee. I don't know how it does it, but it does it alarmingly accurately. 53. So is that within reach of the bubble if they blow through this league? And is there a margin of error? And are they good enough to do it? I don't think we're going to put them inside the bubble on our first show on Sunday. But the 53 J&G, does that mean when you look at that and you look at how much better Yale appears to be than the rest of the league, does it make you question can they do it?
well, it becomes interesting. Let's assume they literally win every game that you see on the screen here,
And that's about
include,
what it would take. Yeah.
including that game at Howard, one more non-conference game coming up in February, and they win their Ivy League semifinal. They lose the championship game. It's an interesting question, and
Yeah, because
it's such a gaudy record.
I don't know the J&G as well as some people. Joby Fortson is such an expert on this metric. It's remarkable. You think he
I'll
can?
tell you what, I'm going to go over here to our old screen here because we could actually take a quick look at that. This is what on the right hand side their record would look like if they won out every single game.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
how could you not consider that?
Right. And then the other thing is like, what would the J&G be? Would it be in the 40s? Would it be in the third? Because I don't think he's missed by much. Like he's never projected a team into the 30s that didn't get in.
Uh, let's go back to our standings here and Stalika, Metro Atlantic. Uh, Had 5 games to start off conference play, including seeing Quinnipiac with a home win over Marist, St. Peter's with a nice road win at Fairfield, Merrimack with the road win at Sacred Heart to make those 3 teams 3-0 at top of the standings.
Well, knocking Marist out of the ranks of the unbeaten in the Metro Atlantic, albeit early, is going to give Quinnipiac an edge right there. Now, at the same time, St. Peter's and Merrimack also went on the road and managed to scrape together some wins, so at least they get to be in a three-way tie at 3-0 at the moment.
And let's not forget about Siena sitting there 2-0 in conference. They did not actually play on Monday. They were the one team off, uh, but Griggs, I mean, I think we're on the Quinnipiac bandwagon. At least I am.
Yeah. Oh, I've been. This is the year they do it. This is the year we stay on the bandwagon. They don't let us down.
Uh, we've got upcoming games this week. Quinnipiac is going to be Friday at Manhattan, then they go hosting Mount St. Mary's. So they should be 5-0 next week.
Yeah, they should win both of those. Manhattan, not as good as they've been in the past.
And then
Game to
St.
look.
Peter's hosts Marist.
That's probably the best looking game of the week here coming up. When you look at the rankings, so the Siena Iona Friday night could be a good one as well.
Yeah, that's normally a fun one too.
I'm guessing Merrimack and Quinnipiac are both travel partners because Merrimack also hosts Mount St. Mary's in Manhattan.
Most likely.
Looks like it. Yep. Griggs Mid American Conference, and we talked about it last week. The devastating injury that Miami, Ohio had with his name is just slipping my mind right now. Salika probably knows it. But Miami, Ohio lost their second best player, Evan Ipsaro for the season. Thank you. Yet they went to Bowling Green and got the win yesterday.
Yeah, and in arguably one of their more impressive showings of the entire year. Miami, to kind of back it up, they were a team I was really big on coming into the year. Their very weak schedule was sort of impossible to ignore. It's among the 5 weakest out of conference schedules in all of D1.
3 weakest.
Yeah. For them to go to Bowling Green, who's been good at home and who's had moments, and to jump all over them the way that they did, I think Bowling Green, like Miami, kind of went to sleep and got sloppy after building up a 20-plus point lead and holding it for most of the game. And Bowling Green kind of came back. I think that's by far their most impressive showing of the year. The start of the MAC schedule is top heavy. They got Akron, who's one of the better teams. They go to Toledo. Buffalo's having a better than that year, but
I just saw Akron with the back.
yeah, it'll be interesting with the 14-0 record, but doing it against the weak schedule. Our first bracket show is Sunday. I don't know what our format's going to be yet. I don't know. We might just do a J&G. We might do that'll be up to you. But I'll be curious to see if they make it. And that J&G, not to continue to just. I don't want people to think that the J&G does all my thinking for me, but it is a very accurate metric, and they are right there, right on the bubble as it is. And I'll bring up the same point that we brought up about Yale. After seeing them yesterday, are they good enough to win the games they have to between now and the end to get inside of it? Because this is a tough league.
Well, I did look at their SOR ranking here. Their resume ranking is 33. The problem here is the fact that they're undefeated. You actually gives you a lot of extra weight in these metrics, especially this many games in the season.
Atrocious out of conference. That is disappointing, really.
If you ask me if you told me that Akron is the auto bid winner out of the MAC, and do I think Miami, Ohio right now belongs in the tournament? I got to tell you no, unfortunately. But I think they're in that discussion. I don't think I would put them in because they haven't beaten anybody, because they hadn't played anybody.
They didn't play anybody.
Go ahead.
I would like to think it's going to improve a little bit because keep in mind they still have a Sun Belt game in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge where it's going to be a road game on February 7.
And they need like that. Yeah.
They'll probably get like one of the top 2 teams in there, but that's not going to vault it up very much from 363.
And it doesn't improve. Like, does Asheville start winning games in the Big South? Does Eastern Kentucky start winning games in the A-Sun? Ball State probably doesn't. Mercyhurst. That is just a weak schedule. Good Lord, Travis Steele.
The other team, obviously, this conference to look at is this Akron team, who I actually think is the best team in the league, despite the fact that Miami is undefeated.
Yeah.
And I still think they're going to end up being the team to beat, which is why this game coming up on Saturday, absolutely huge, Akron at Miami.
Man, that'd be a fun one to go to. What are you doing Saturday, Stalika?
I'm actually going up to Chicago for a different under the radar game.
Oh, wait, I'll be out of town. Okay.
And as I've said before, it's a disgrace that this is the only regular season matchup between Akron and Mother Miami.
Yeah.
We do need to go back one more thing here. We had a fun little game last night also between UMass and Eastern Michigan that ended up with a nice little scuffle at the end of the game. But
I didn't see it at all. Kind of a surprising result, Eastern Michigan getting the win over a UMass team that I thought was playing real well. But it turns out like, I don't know, a little bit of impoliteness in the handshake line.
And just by the way, how many wins, Slika, does UMass have combined in football and basketball since joining the MAC? Conference wins.
0.
It's zero. Still looking for that first W for either of the two top sports here. They'll be hosting Bowling Green next, which I don't know if they get that win. Then they go to Ohio. But
I
Griggs,
don't want to be around Angry Frank if they're going to be 0-4.
Griggs, how about Morgan State yesterday beating Penn State? Brandywine.
Yeah, I mean, we knew Penn State was struggling, but goodness, Morgan it kind of beat them pretty good.
But in all seriousness, I believe we are now done with the bye games here in the MEAC, and we are. On Saturday, we're getting into conference play, starting
Yeah.
off with Howard at South Carolina State and Norfolk at NC Central. I think it's those two teams and nobody else in this league.
Yeah, most likely. And again, all 8 teams in action on Saturday. So
But there's the MEAC. We'll talk a little more of them next week. Missouri Valley Conference, though, Stalika, we had an exciting first day of conference. Oh, well, not first day of conference play, but getting back into conference play on Monday night, including how about the Trees taking it down Belmont in overtime? It was a great game.
man.
That was not a strike that the Bruins could afford right there. With Indiana State, that does nudge them above 200 in terms of the net. Granted, that was a road game, but as a puppet likes to say very often, you've got to win games that are going to have a higher degree of difficulty if you're going to have at-large aspirations. But in fact, the only team that did end up winning on the road was Illinois State, who wanted Drake, who's going to be down compared to where they've been the past couple seasons.
But the way they handled Drake on the road, which is not an easy place to go and win, I was impressed with this Illinois State team, and they're the team I'm really keeping an eye on in this conference. I think they're my favorite right now to win this league, actually.
I'm with you. I wrote them off early. They had a bad first week, and it took me a while to figure out, well, this is still I'm just going to say what should have been obvious back in November. This is a really good team that stumbled out of the gate a little bit, but now they've passed the pack, and they have looked better than everybody else. And really, how bad did they really stumble? I think USC, we saw them lose by 20, and you're like, well, my God, like they can't even compete against an unranked team. But USC's turned out to be pretty good.
Utah State, who's very good, they were right in that game. And
Yeah, they
a
were.
road loss on an Ohio team that should be in the middle of the pack, at least in the MAC. So
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think they've got it together. I think they're playing really well. And they went on the road to Drake and ran them off the floor, like you would expect the top team in the league to be able to do. This may be in what is a really good conference. Let's not forget about Northern Iowa. We've already talked about Belmont. Murray State's look good. Illinois State might look better than all of them.
I'm with you. But it is such a tough conference. You've got to go to all these places and win.
Yeah.
Just look at this week here at Illinois State. They actually got an easier week, but what do we got here? We got Bradley at Belmont. We got Indiana State now at Northern Iowa. Indiana State coming off of that win over Belmont. Do they make some noise? We've got what else? Belmont at Northern Iowa coming up next Wednesday. That's actually a huge game in this league.
Yeah,
That's got to
it
be
is.
I was going to say it's fortuitous Illinois State has a bye on Sunday because their FCS football team, who's unranked, is going to be in the championship game against Montana State the following Monday. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling that once they finish their home game against Evansville, all their fans are going to be headed towards Nashville for an extended weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
great
of a
story.
fun
That great
story.
story for that Redbirds football team. Not even the top 16 seeds, making it all the way to the championship game.
Yeah, that's been a fun run. If you follow FCS football.
Sleek over in the Northeast Conference. I'm sorry, the NEC. Tough week this week in their last round of bye games.
Well, granted, they were all on the road, but Lemoyne, we at least thought they would have had a shot against Boston College, but they were unable to snag roadkill in this one.
They were
We're
in
going
that
to
game most of
start
the way.
featuring Boston College, just Boston College on this show.
Conference play in the NEC, one of our favorite times of the year,
Oh, yes.
begins Friday. Go to the NEC front row, download the NEC on the Run app. These are the games to watch. Which
Is
games
it
should
fair
you
that I'm
watch?
already excited about that Long Island Central Connecticut game? Chicago State's at home. Oh,
I ju-
yes.
I
You
highlight the
know it.
games where I highlight the 10 games worth watching in this conference this
Yeah,
week.
yeah. And
And New Haven does make their debut against the Stoners on Friday before having a taller order at Central Connecticut State on Sunday.
now, this might be more of a final thought, but you did feature all 10. I've always sort of wondered, why is it that we like this league so much? And is it because it's stripped down? Is it because is it because it feels more like college basketball than most of the rest of college basketball feels right now? I think that in its simplest terms, that's it.
I think you're absolutely right. This is kind of like what college basketball used to be 10, 15 years ago. It's still there in this conference. It's one of the few
Yeah.
places we see it
And,
still. But you're right. Friday night, Central Connecticut, Long Island. These are the top two teams in the league to start off
yeah.
conference play.
And yeah, and I just noticed that like everybody at Hoops HC and a lot of people that follow us, you're following multiple games. You probably have multiple screens up. Whenever the NEC's playing, I find myself gravitating towards that and neglecting, Arizona at Oklahoma or something like that. It's such a compelling league. So download an NEC front row. It'll be your favorite sports app.
Also, big game coming up Sunday. Fairleigh Dickinson, St. Francis, both teams without a D1 win yet. Now, assuming they both lose on Friday, that could be a
Yeah.
huge game with centenary award implications.
Yes. Yeah.
And also
Uh,
another reminder, this is St. Francis's last trip to the NEC before they make their descent down to Division Three.
yeah,
Yeah.
we may have to have a discussion later on in the season as to whether or not St. Francis is eligible for our D1 for our award for the worst team in D1
Yeah.
because of the extenuating circumstances there. Should they go winless? But
Yeah.
that's
Because
for a
Seminary
couple
never
months from now.
actually won the award.
Sleeka, Ohio Valley Conference. You teased this conference a little bit earlier. We only saw one game uh, in conference play, and it's the team that I am starting to be more and more impressed by. Tennessee State picks up a nice road win last night.
And Tennessee Tech was a team that at least had respectable metrics compared to other teams in this conference, and getting a road win for Tennessee State is obviously going to help them in that regard.
Yeah, and Griggs, are you with me yet on the Tiger bandwagon here? They have that win at UNLV. That's when I started paying attention. They won the game at Chattanooga. It's a quad four win, but it's not an easy place to win games. They stumbled a little bit with the Alabama A&M and SEMO losses, but I like
In
this
a
team.
word, yes. One of the teams I was big on really since when November was that UT Martin team, largely because they won at UNLV. Well, Tennessee State also won at UNLV, and they beat UT Martin, albeit at home. I don't see how you can not be taking them seriously. Little Rock has struggled with injuries. SEMO, who I thought would run away from the league back in September, October when we did the conference previews, has been running in place if they've been running at all. When you look at who's shown you something, it's been UT Martin and Tennessee State, and it's really it.
Well, it's also going to be a very road heavy schedule to start the year or start the calendar year where they're going to have like 5 of 7 away from home.
If you like first place battles, coming up New Year's Day, Morehead State at Linwood. Winner of this, Lindenwood, would be winner of this is going to be in sole possession of first place for a few days at least. Uh,
Yeah, so for all of the bracket matrix people that forecast the first place team, this game has major implications as to who will be forecasted in that week.
Slightly
Tennessee,
more challenging than their arch rival Alice Lloyd.
Yeah.
Tennessee State's lone game on Saturday at Little Rock, so see what happens with that one. UT Martin, by
Yeah.
the way, what are they got? They're hosting Eastern Illinois there on Saturday as well.
Yeah. Real quick, Chad, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. SIUE, someone that worked in their athletic department, that worked in academic support, did pass away suddenly this last week.
Uh,
They're not the conference has said there won't be any reschedulings or postponements or cancellations, but I just I know that we have a little bit of a following there. I don't want to get too much into it. I don't know anything what happened, but I do know that they're taking that really hard. I'm
yeah,
sorry
well,
that happened.
We'll send out our best wishes. They've got a couple home games coming up this next week here, but Slika, Patriot League. How about all those great games we saw the past 7 days in the league?
Yeah, unfortunately, that would be a loss by Colgate going up against Harvard, who's not exactly one of the better Ivy League teams this year.
But the bigger story, of course, Slika, is what's coming up here as we get into conference play beginning today, New Year's Eve.
Yep, it starts with Navy hosting BU, and you're also looking at a American who's going to be hosting Loyola Maryland. That should be a far more winnable game.
Yeah, Colgate at Lafayette today. I think Colgate should win it, but Colgate has shown some life, and they've got, I guess, well, here's a road trip to Army and a home game against American coming up. So there's some fun games here. I think this could be a fun, really a wide open conference this year, Griggs.
Yeah, it really could be. I mean, Navy was the team I liked the most coming into the year. I thought they would sort of run away with it given their experience and how strong they ended the year last year. But a lot of other teams have proven to show signs of life, and it could be. I agree with you. I think it could be very wide open.
But
Stick with
every
the hit.
Wednesday on CBS Sports Network, the Patriot League is going to have one of their feature games of the week, sometimes two.
Griggs, SoCon, congrats to East Tennessee State. They played the first conference game, and they are your leaders right now. And in all honesty, they may be the best team in the conference. Them or
Yeah,
Furman.
who just beat the worst team in the conference and centenary candidate, the Citadel. And the one thing that bodes well for the Citadel winning the centenary this year is that the league is much weaker. Very fortunate there for a centenary candidate than what it typically is.
We do have a fascinating game coming up later today. Mercer at Furman. I think Mercer, Furman, East Tennessee State, the top three teams you see on the screen there, probably are the three teams that have looked the best so far this year.
Yeah, and how about Mercer? I mean, if there is sort of a bright spot in here and kind of a surprise, they played a really tough out of conference schedule. I think Mercer's looked as good as anyone in the league.
And then they got to go to East Tennessee State. They are literally getting their two toughest conference games out of the way here this week, their first two
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I mean, to play the top two teams on the road to start things off.
I'll tell you, they go 2-0 this week. They're going to probably be my bracket the rest of the season. And that might be
Yeah,
it.
probably will
As
be.
SoCon champions, not as that large bid, but as SoCon
Right,
champions.
yeah.
Salika, did we lose you?
Nope, I'm just going to the coffee bar. I'll be back here in a couple
All right,
seconds.
well then we'll give Griggs the next conference here too, Southland Conference, where uh, the game we were looking forward to this week was that Michigan McNeese game. McNeese kind of no-showed it, but Michigan is just so damn good.
Michigan is stupid good. They're like the UN. They're like as good as UNLV was in the early '90s, to where they just blow out good teams. And let's be clear about this. McNeese is a very good team. Uh, they lost by 51. Well, Gonzaga lost by more than 40. So, and you look at this, and the win at Rhodey, the win against Murray State, who we talked about earlier. GW's been a little disappointing, but they got that win. The loss at Incarnate Word sort of has you scratching your head a little bit, but
Let's talk about that win over Middle because we just hyped up Middle when we did
yeah, the win
CUSA.
over Middle. I mean, this is a really, really good team, and I just think when you start to look at, they got a little bit of a home stretch coming up. SFA also, I think, one of the really good teams. That's one that I'm kind of excited about. But yeah, like I think that again, they're going to be in a. I don't think they're going to blow through the league because I just think the rest of the league has gotten a little bit stronger. But McNeese is good despite getting blown out by Michigan.
I'm with you here. SFA picked up that road win at East Texas A&M easily, which is what they need to do. Uh,
Yeah.
but I, I,
And I'm
I
sure
agree.
our colleague Zach Singer probably has to be thrilled that a former Providence Friar is among the McNeese leaders this year in Garvey Dual.
McNeese hosting Lamar on Friday. I did like this Lamar team heading into the season, so that could be an interesting one. But I think the big game, you already mentioned it, Griggs, SFA at McNeese Monday night. That is the game to
Yeah.
circle this week in the Southland Conference.
Yeah. We'll probably be watching that during the Hoops HD report.
Sleeka, now that you're back, how about a little SWAC action?
I did kind of tease it last week where the SWAC actually made it up to 18 wins against D1 competition this year. As we had hinted at, they're probably not going to make it to 20, given that all of their wins last week were against a non-D1 competition, including the OG Centenary that Grambling managed to defeat.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's more than one or two, if any, D1 games left until they reach the postseason. Maybe they could pick them up in a couple postseason events. But here it is, Salika, though. Conference play begins in the SWAC. It's beginning on Saturday. It should be a fun. I think this is also a pretty wide open conference. Alabama A&M, Grambling, Texas Southern, despite without not having a D1 win, they seem to always find a way to get into the action here as well.
And it's hard to believe they're actually only third in terms of strength of schedule right now because Bethune-Cookman and Jackson State actually Arkansas Pine Bluff even
Yeah,
has a stronger schedule, so they'd actually be fourth.
yeah. That is, you still see here five of the top 10 strengths of schedule in the entire nation sitting in this conference. That
Yeah.
will change as they play conference games, but
Right.
non-conference will stay up there.
But they do get a lot of frequent flyer miles out of it.
Mhm.
And we do have some good games here. If Texas Southern come this weekend, Texas Southern at Southern, FAMU at Bethune-Cookman. These are some rivalry games coming up here.
Yeah. FAMU Cookman is real big, and that's going to be fun on Saturday.
Get SWAC TV. It's a new app this year. Go ahead and download it to watch those games.
Hmm.
Uh, Griggs over in the Summit League, where again another conference where we finished up non-conference play.
Yeah, not a whole lot happened last week. I mean, not a whole lot happened anywhere, but nothing really happened to change the shift of what I don't think I feel any differently about this league this Wednesday than I did last Wednesday.
Uh, I think the big game is just something very interesting coming up on Sunday, though. Denver is at St. Thomas, and you say, well, Denver, they weren't a pick, but Denver had that win over Northern Colorado, got onto our radar here, and can they
Yeah,
make some noise here, especially with a tough game to
Denver's
start
interesting
conference?
because they haven't looked good except against what was arguably two of their tougher games, Northern Colorado and Colorado State, and those are hard teams to beat. They beat them both on the road.
But unfortunately, there is no one in the Front Range or the Beehive range to play here in the Summit League.
Right, yeah. So I don't know. Like, can they do it when they're not playing front range opponents? But that is an interesting.
North Dakota State, the other team we're keeping an eye on, they've got a couple home games that they should win over South Dakota and Oral Roberts to start conference play. Uh, what are we up to here? Salika, you want to take the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I think you look at a team like Arkansas State. Well, granted, it was a non-D1 win, but at least they're 2-0. And God, can we just get this team for Mother Miami in the Sun Belt MAC Challenge? At least give them someone competitive.
I'd rather see them play Troy, but that's just because Troy is so much fun, and what a game that
Yeah,
could be.
You just want to see like another 3 or 4 overtime game for the Red Hawks, but I see you working.
yeah,
Uh, Getting back into conference play here this week, and I'm already looking forward to Saturday. South Alabama at Troy. Number one, it's a rivalry game there with the two Alabama schools.
yeah,
Number two, it's two of the teams that I think could be right there at the end of the day.
yeah. I agree. Because this league, it's so competitive, and there's so many teams that look good, and it just seems like year after year after year, it's log jammed. Here we are. You notice 11th place is just a game behind first, and you're like, well, yeah, but we're only 2 games in. Yeah, but I bet it's still going to be very similar to that when we're 10 games in. But South Alabama, Troy, probably. I mean, it felt like last year with the extended ladder format that so many games had stakes. That's probably the biggest stakes game of the week, but they're all worth watching. I kind of like Marshall. I mean, we haven't talked much about them. They've looked pretty good at times.
Marshall hosting Georgia State, App State, and at James Madison. Troy, by the way, and Arkansas State after the South Alabama game. That's coming up next week.
Yeah. So.
Arkansas State, best net in the conference.
Mhm.
And I think Georgia Southern also has a shot at getting to 4-0 with their road games against Coastal and Old Dominion.
Yeah, they should. I mean,
Coastal might be tricky though.
Road trip to Coastal is tough. A lot of things to distract you from the
yeah.
from the game. Griggs, our last regular conference here, the WAC, where how about Utah Valley? Beat California Baptist by 7, and it felt like they kind of controlled that game.
They did, and they looked really good in that game. I know that at least I was paying a lot more attention to Cal Baptist than I was to Utah Valley, but it's time to pay attention to Utah Valley. I know that this is a triple round robin. They'll see each other again at least 2 more times and possibly 3 in the conference tournament. But you start to kind of look at them. They had a really nice win at Bowling Green, and I guess they look good against Cal Baptist. I know that they were at home, but you're starting to realize that they might be looking better than everybody else in the conference. Some big road trips coming up here.
Yeah, the road game at Tarleton will be tricky. That's their next game. Tarleton has shown some life this season. They're sitting there at 10-4 overall. That's probably the game I'm looking forward to the most. I guess that's the game is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then they go to Abilene, who hasn't even played a conference game yet. They'll play their first game tomorrow also.
Mhm.
That's it though for our regular conferences. How about some mythical conferences?
All right. Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick look at the Front Range here. We had a couple games here, and now we've got Wyoming in first place, but tied in the win column with Northern Colorado and Denver.
Yeah, Wyoming got the win at Air Force. Struggled a little more than you would expect, but Denver kind of the not winning too many out of conference games, but 2-1 in the Front Range. Not winning too many mythical out of conference games.
No Front Range games coming up this week. We'll take a quick look over at the Beehive Conference, the battle for the old Ochre bucket. Utah Tech with that win over Southern Utah. We didn't mention that one, but that did put Utah Tech in sole possession of first place. How about that?
Yeah, that is amazing. Utah not having a great year out of their mythical conference in their non-mythical.
Go back to the trophy for a moment, Chad, because we need to get Utah Tech and Utah Valley onto that plaque there.
No, this is an older
Unfortunately,
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Beehive games this week. How about what else we got here? The Back Range, where Arizona, New Mexico State, Arizona State. These guys just don't play each other enough. We got to do something about the
Yeah, I
scheduling
know.
here.
There needs to be more mythical games out there.
Or the Top Range also. We're just not getting the games in there. Gonzaga, they're still sitting in fourth place despite number 7 in the
You
nation.
want to respect Gonzaga as a program, but the way that they duck these top range games is disturbing.
Big game, though. Eastern Washington and Idaho. We talked about this one earlier, in fact, that these teams are only 7 miles apart and never met in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Coming up Saturday. That's a Big Sky and a Top Range game.
Mm-hmm.
And
This might be the best. I was going to say, this is probably the best Idaho team we've had since Chad and his brother Nate Sherwood were stars on that team.
Our most mythical of all conferences, Conference of Champions here. Washington with the win over Utah, but it's still Cal, despite the loss to Louisville last night, in sole possession of first place in the Conference of Champions.
Yep.
And we've got a bunch of Conference of Champions games coming up this week. Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, Oregon State, Washington State. Wow.
Yep. So big week in the Conference of Champions.
Let's go to our top 10 list for December 31st. Griggs and I and Rocco Miller submitted a ballot as well, even though he couldn't make the show today. We got a bunch of honorable mentions, teams that did not quite make the top 10. Liberty, Belmont, Akron, William & Mary, California Baptist, and Stephen F. Austin all get a little bit of love.
Mm-hmm.
But coming in at number 10, Northern Colorado. They had fallen off the list. The win over Colorado gets them back on the list. I think they could. This is a team that can move up a lot.
Yeah, they can. They're the best team in the Big Sky.
Illinois State.
And I think they're going to start climbing this pole too.
Hofstra coming in at number 8.
Yeah, we only mentioned it briefly going over the CAA, but this is a good team.
2-0 against the ACC this year. That's pretty impressive.
On the road.
Tie for 6 between Utah Valley, who we just discussed, and another Missouri Valley team here, Northern Iowa.
Yeah, Northern Iowa has played a weak schedule, but a really good team. They need to start stringing together conference wins.
At number 5, here's our third Valley team in the top 10 and fourth Valley team on the sheet here, Murray State.
Yeah.
I personally would have had them reverse. I would have had Illinois State and Murray State reverse, but You guys voted also. At number 4, McNeese. We do
Yeah.
like this team. A
Yeah.
tie for.
So,
Go ahead.
oh, I was wondering when Belmont was going to be. I see Belmont's already been mentioned.
With their honorable mention, Belmont down
Yeah,
there. They did suffer the loss this week.
he did.
That
Yeah.
knocked them out of the top 10.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I was like, my God, how high is Belmont? And then I
Mhm.
realized, oh, they've already been shown.
Uh, to a tie for second place between UC San Diego and that undefeated Mother Miami team. Uh,
I don't like them as much as the. I felt like I was the one championing them coming into the year, but now I haven't been voting them that high. I want to, but yesterday was impressive. It was legit. That was impressive.
that was impressive, and the fact that you're undefeated just counts a lot for me.
Yeah.
Um, Number 1, despite a loss this week, they hold on to number 1 for the second straight week. It is that EL team. Uh, that's it. Let's go to final thoughts. Salika?
Yeah, I think we can basically say that Yale and McNeese were not going to be punished given who they were playing, namely Alabama and Michigan. I probably would have had Mother Miami number 1 just based on the fact that they did get the road win in Bowling Green and more importantly showed that starting with their roster going forward, they're still capable of winning games of note in the MAC. But as we noted in their schedule, they're going to have Akron just the one time at home and a couple games after that, they go to Toledo, which is never an easy trip in MAC play either.
I'll tell you, if they're still undefeated next week, I think they're going to be my number 1 pick. Because it'll be a win over Akron, and they'll really prove to me that they can win these quality games without Ipsaro. Griggs, want to finish off the show?
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and we'll continue to talk about it. So I don't know if it makes sense as a final thought, since it's more of a continuing thought. But the WAC playing the triple round robin is so interesting, and that game between Utah Valley and Cal Baptist, and part of it's like, oh man, they got to play this early in the season. Why without the students there? And it's like, well, they're going to play twice, maybe 3 times more. By the time they get into that third game and the familiarity is high, and then in the fourth game in the conference tournament, you might see someone that's just really matches up right and that isn't as good athletically or physically, but they just know the team so well, sort of progress through the later part of the season and become a real problem in the conference tournament. The more you play each other, the more it shortens the gap between the top and the bottom.
Sorry, Griggs, I have no idea what you said because everybody who's watching this show has been watching my cat in my background here.
Oh, don't worry about it. I wasn't saying anything important anyway.
All right. But I do want to thank everyone for joining us. Wish you all a happy, healthy, and safe new year. On behalf of David Griggs and John Salika, I'm Chad Sherwood. We'll be back Sunday night with our first bracket rundown show of this season. Monday with Hoops HD Report. Next Wednesday with another Under the Radar. Have a great new year, everybody. We'll see you in 2026.